The One Piece card game has 6 different colors of decks to choose from, and each has its own unique feel. So, which one is right for you? Let's go find out.
Guys, this is so important. This is so important. Um, did I freeze? Okay, I'm good. Figuring out the right color to use in the One Piece TCG is extraordinarily important. If you use the wrong color, it can become frustrating for you because you have this specific play style that's natural to your personality, and because you're using the wrong color, it can make you think that the trading card game is not for you, or that you're bad, or that it's too complicated, or that your opponent's cheating, or maybe the game is cheating you out. It could just be that you're using the wrong color, and colors are very important in a majority of TCG, other TCG, for all trading card games, or most of them. Obviously Yu-Gi-Oh would be outside of that range, but most trading card games use this color system. So pay attention, try your best not to be distracted, and yeah, let's get into it.
To start, we have red, which is the most aggressive color. One of the key themes of this deck is the ability Rush, which many of your characters have, allowing them to attack the same turn they are played. Finally, you'll notice that each color has a unique ability within the game that they are able to manipulate or control. For red decks, this is power manipulation, allowing you to either buff the power of your own characters or debuff the power of your opponents. Let's quickly look at 3 leader examples. The first is Zoro. The theme of this deck is to summon multiple low-powered characters and then buff them up with your leader effect and deal lots of damage early on. The second is Sanji, which allows you to give one of your characters Rush each turn, as long as they don't have an on-play effect. As you can guess, you stack this deck with powerful cards without an on-play ability, and then give them Rush. Finally, one card to keep your eyes on is the Shanks Leader, being released in the next set, OP09. This leader has a defensive ability, which should pair nicely with the overwhelming offense that red has to offer. Now that's enough about red, let's move on to blue. The key themes here are draw power and top deck manipulation. What do we mean by this? Many cards in blue allow you to search the top of your deck and rearrange the cards in any order and place them back down. Why is this useful? Well, let's look at some examples. The Blue Dofi Leader allows you to reveal the top card in your deck, and if it is a 4 cost or lower 7 Warlords of the Sea card, you get to play it onto the field rested. By itself, this card is a bit of a gamble
Nice.
because you don't know what comes next, but then when you pair it with a Perona or a Buggy, all of a sudden, you know exactly what is coming. Also, let's assume a best case scenario. There's another card you can get called Jinbei, and when he is summoned, his on-play effect is to summon another 7 Warlords of the Sea character from your hand. Do you see where this is
Oh,
going? All of a sudden, on turn 2, you could attack with a 7k hit, summon a Jinbei from the top of your deck, and then bring out another Warlord's character from your hand. Another example is the
oh,
9 cost Sanji, and when played right, you're able to play 2 9 cost characters at the same time. The final theme of blue is they can bounce cards, either back to their opponent's hand or to the bottom of their deck, which can be really nice for those pesky creatures that can't be KO'd by certain effects. The next we have is green, which, just like nature itself, is very balanced in both offense and defense. The main
hmm.
theme of green is status manipulation, allowing you to rest your opponent's active cards or reactivate your rested ones. Green also has a dangerous endgame, with cards like Hody Jones allowing you to bypass blockers, the 10-drop Doflamingo allowing you to keep your opponents rested, or the 8-cost Captain Kidd, which can force your opponents to attack him. Feel free to try any leader, but one I'd recommend is Bonnie, which allows you to rest one of your opponent's leaders or characters once per turn. Alright, enough about green, let's
Okay.
move on to purple. Purple is all about ramping up and outpacing your opponent, reaching the endgame before they do. But what is the endgame? In One Piece, this refers to when most of your Dawn is now available and you can bring out the strongest characters in your deck. Purple
Hmm.
decks are able to do this faster than other colors through Dawn manipulation. Purple decks have many abilities that allow you to either add or remove Dawn from your Dawn deck in order to activate their effect. An example of this is the Purple Leader Luffy, where for the price of 1 life you can add 1 additional Dawn from your Dawn deck as active. This might seem a steep price to pay for 1 additional Dawn, but in this deck you have powerful 4, 5, and 7 drop characters that you can cheat out eternally using this effect. Another powerful leader is Foxy, who, for the price of returning 3 Dawn back to your Dawn deck, you can make 1 character and 1 leader your opponent controls not refresh and stay rested on their next turn. But Dawn is a precious resource. Why would we want to return 3? Well, in this deck, you have many ways to gain rested and active Dawn, so in fact, you can return 3 and gain them all back in the same turn.
So some people think that purple is like a gimmick deck, but do not underestimate it. Being able to manipulate your Dawn is extremely powerful ability, and if used properly, it is absolutely devastating. I've faced this more than a few times, and if I didn't make the right move, my opponent was going to whoop me because they would be able to get like 10 Dawn in a few turns, and they'd be able to summon out these extremely powerful characters that would be a pain to get over if I even could get over them or defeat them. Sometimes I had to work around those things. So yeah, don't underestimate purple.
And gain them all back in the same turn. While there will be different themes depending on your leader, one thing you can expect in all purple decks is to be constantly ramping up and then returning your Dawn. Next up is black. Do you want to avoid the risk of your opponent countering out of attacks on one of their characters? Well, just play this deck and destroy them with
Black is
effects.
powerful.
No battling necessary. The key
Yep,
theme of this color
black is
is
powerful.
cost reduction and board removal. Let's talk about that for a minute. When I first started playing One Piece, I was very confused by this effect. Why would I want to reduce the cost of my opponent's characters? Does that make them cheaper to play? The answer is no, and to better understand this, we have to look at the core gameplay of One Piece. Higher cost characters are more difficult to bring out and require more resources to get them into play. To balance this out, they are also harder to remove from play, as you will see a limit on many character abilities and event cards that will say only up to a 4 or 5 cost character. But black decks get around this restriction using their character abilities to lower the cost first. Examples of notable leaders are Smoker and Rob Lucci, who once again have effects that lower the costs of your opponent's guys. The final theme of black is one of a recycling nature, where there are many cards that will let you replay, resummon, or add cards from your trash back into your hand. And finally, we have yellow. As you've noticed, each deck has some sort of manipulation or control over an aspect of the game. For yellow, this is life manipulation. This is the only color that will allow you to heal from damage taken. These are the type of decks that just refuse to die. Let's take a look at this leader card as an example.
Yeah,
Once per turn,
yep.
on either yours or your opponent's, if you have 0 life cards, you may add 1 card from the top of your deck to the top of your life. Now, by itself, this isn't game breaking, it's just one extra swing that you need in order to win the game, but this is where the second theme of yellow comes into play. Remember triggers? Those effects that you can activate for free when a life card is taken? Well, yellow decks are filled with them. So not only are you regenerating life, but each time you lose one, you're going to have some sort of trigger happen that will benefit you in some sort of way. Be warned though, yellow decks are not beginner friendly. The starter deck is
Mm,
fine, but some of the other leaders that focus on removing your life as quickly as possible are very dangerous to play with. Since you
yeah, yep. So a lot of people think that yellow is one of the toughest colors to use. I actually use yellow right now. Um, my build is all about swarming the field with as many characters as I can and just taking on my opponent as quickly as possible. But there are other versions of the deck that strictly focus on life manipulation and just again not being able to be taken out. So I'm pretty sure those versions of the deck are a bit more um, complex and require you to study the game a bit more efficiently. So yeah, this is definitely some advice to keep in mind when choosing to run a yellow build.
generally play with less life, one mistake can be very costly and lose you the game. But it can also be very
Hmm.
fun, so try what you like. If I had to sum it up in a sentence, red is aggressive and uses a go 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 mentality. Blue has strong draw power and can swarm the board. Green is well balanced and stuns a lot of your opponent's cards. Purple turns up the speed and gets to endgame early. Black uses effects to destroy your opponent's cards, and yellow uses healing and triggers to outlast their opponent. And those are the colors. Which
There it is. Very simple, guys. Very quick video. Hopefully, it was easy enough for you guys to understand. Um, be very cautious about the color you decide to use. Um, you know, I'm trying my best not to, I guess, make assumptions, but you know yourself. You know your personality, you know your quirks, you know your strengths and weaknesses. Keep that in mind when choosing the color you want to play. So, if you're someone who really is just very extroverted and aggressive and you believe in not hesitating, just go after what you want no matter what, red is most likely going to be the color for you. If you like to be a bit more patient, and you want to analyze your opponent, and then once you see a weakness, you go in for the kill. Blue is going to be for you, and like so on and so forth. Like if you like to murder your opponent or move them from the senses, I'm not sure I'm gonna get demonetized for saying that other word. Um, Black is going to be for you. So yeah, keep that in mind, guys. The One Piece trading card game is for everyone. I know it seems like intimidating to get into it, but if you start off with a easy to use build, choose the right color, you're going to be able to be drawn in immediately and start to have the time of your life. So let me know in the comment section what you guys think. I'm no expert. I'm brand new to this. I only started playing like a little while ago. I'm absolute beginner, but I'm enjoying myself so far, and I know you guys will too. Um, yeah, let me know in the comment section what you guys think. What color will you choose? What color are you currently using? Are you going to switch your color? How you like the game, etc., etc. Um, I've been on AdClear. You guys have been amazing. Take care, guys.